Good morning and welcome to this morning's episode of the Amateur in the Morning. I am your host, the Forex Amateur. It is a beautiful Tuesday morning. It is the 17th of November. And as you know, on these episodes, I like to simply just break down my view or my perspective on the financial markets specific to certain things that I do look at or certain instruments that I look at. But before I get into it, I just want to throw in my disclaimer. Remember, I am not qualified to offer financial investment or trading advice. Everything I speak about on these episodes is purely my own opinion, and trades that I take are trades that I'm willing to take with cash that I am willing to risk. That's the most important thing. Understand that if you take any trades or if you participate in any trading, ensure that you do it with analysis you've done, research that you've done, and with cash that you are willing to lose. Because the truth is, you could lose your entire investment, right? And ensure that you understand as well that I do not suggest or emphasize any specific trade, so everything I speak about here is with equal proportion. And obviously, I make trading decisions afterwards whenever I'm sitting down to look for trades. So let's get straight into it and let's talk about the synthetic markets very quickly. As you know, that we're now covering synthetics and we're also covering NASDAQ and the dollar index future. So I just need to try and get the time down to about maybe less than 20 minutes. So I'm going to go for that. Let's talk about volatility 25-1S firstly, right? Give me a second. Just want to make sure I'm sharing the right screen. All right, let's talk about volatility 25-1S. Now, overall at volatility 25-1S, I am still expecting this market to bounce maybe on this blue zone and push up towards this yellow zone that we've got up in here, right? That's still my thoughts on this market. Looking at the daily chart, however, we can see a big rejection off the top and price now trading to the downside. So most likely what we will see is price coming a bit deeper into this blue zone. Whether or not it's going to break below this zone is not apparent at the moment, but I can say that it will most likely come back into this blue zone a bit deeper. Another one of the probabilities, one of them that I am hoping to see, is price bouncing on this blue zone and then going back to the upside. If that does happen, then what I will be looking for is selling opportunities off of that level back to the downside. Right? Not really any more information on that setup because we haven't really seen evidence of an entry yet on the higher time frame, which is the daily, right? So I'll be waiting to see what happens on the daily. At the moment, does have a probability to sell at the moment, right? I just want to paint that picture as well. It does have the probability to sell at the moment because we can see price respecting this resistance zone that we've got right in here, right? So we can see price respecting this key level, rejected off here, broke above, came back, rejected off it, broke above, came back, rejected, broke above, broke below, sorry, resistance, 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 and now it's resisting from it again. So it's very probable that we could see this market continue to the downside. That is something that is possible, right? But I would like to see it bounce and come back up a little bit more before I get in. If it doesn't, then I'll just wait for a retest somewhere inside of here for me to get in on a selling opportunity. Let's move on to volatility 50. Volatility 50. Yesterday, I actually spoke about some buys on the premium group or on the paid group with the paid members off of this level here. And as you can see, right down to the T price came bounced into this level, retested, and it went up. So our TP was around here in this level. So that was a really nice buy trade, which hit TP overnight. I actually woke up to a TP being hit, which is really great. So I had this level on the daily chart marked, this brown little zone in here marked for a rejection zone, expecting price to trail back down into around this yellow zone. So looking at volatility 50, I'm actually looking for selling opportunities today. It does seem to be rejecting really nicely. Looking at the 4-hour chart, I'm actually already in on a sell on here. The moment I opened this chart and I saw where price was, I was able to take a sell excuse me. So I am currently in a sell at the moment, and I am targeting down into this yellow block over here, right? Not really much more I can speak about in here. We've got this possible double bottom that led to this creation of this double top in there. So we want to see price push down from here. Very simple, very straightforward, not a very complicated setup. As long as price does break back below here and respect this level, then we're still on for those selling opportunities. Let me just look at this on the 1 hour. And yeah, we've also got this zone here that I had marked up as well on the H4 for price to come down from. So this is a very clean trade. This is something that I am currently in at the moment. And I will be holding this until I get maybe a take profit or until I see the setup becoming invalid. Overall, I am still looking for the buy off of this gray zone over here. So that also does confluence very well with the daily setup that I'm looking at, because I'm expecting price to bounce from here and go back to the upside. Cool. Let's move on to volatility 75. Looking at volatility 75, I did speak about possible sells coming in yesterday, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I did speak about possible sells coming in yesterday. And it did sound very nasty. Not really sure if I did call this out, though, to be very honest. Not really sure if I did call it out, but as we can see, it did respect this level up in here as a level of resistance. And currently it is holding at this level here as a level of support. So we want to see if it can do a retracement. Possibly what we might see is see it coming back to maybe retest half of this engulfing candle or something like that before we see it continuing to the downside into around these areas here, or just continuing back to the upside, because bearing in mind the weekly is bullish, the monthly is bullish, but I am anticipating that we will see this revisit down into this gray zone at minimum, right? Cool. Moving on to volatility 10. Volatility 10, I did speak about yesterday that I would have liked to see a retest, right? But it did seem more likely that price will push up into this blue zone before it comes back for a retest, right? So that's something that is happening at the moment. Not really much more that I can speak about on here, other than the fact that it's most likely just going to keep pushing up to the upside. You're not going to get any clear structure on the lower time frames. If you look even at the H4, there is no clear structure on here. But I would like to see this market, if possible, right? This is something that I am noticing at the moment, is this level we're starting to see some slowing down of the bullish momentum. So if we do see like maybe a bearish candle close or something here, then I would be very keen on participating in maybe a possible retest to the downside and then a continuation back to the upside. That's very unlikely, but in the odd event that it does happen, then I will participate in that, because I have noticed that we are currently rejecting on that level and possibly holding maybe a level of supply or something like that at this specific level here. I haven't really looked at it in detail, but it more likely that we're possibly looking at something like that. Looking at the weekly, you can see this level is a very strong resistance, right? Very strong key level of resistance that we've got here. So it's very possible that we can see maybe a rejection. I'm not talking about the market turning around and going to the downside, because we have been bullish on this market. But all I'm talking about is a rejection of here, maybe a slight pullback, so we can get in on those buys at a much better price and continue riding this market back to the upside. As I have said multiple times, that we're targeting this blue zone and then this gray zone after that. Cool. So that's it for the synthetics. Let's move on to the dollar futures, which also moved really nicely yesterday based on what I spoke about, right? So let's look at the dollar future. So looking at the daily chart, I'm going to keep this on the daily chart, right? Because then that's going to guide you a bit better in terms of your overall bias for the day. Now, yesterday we did see, oh wow, my mouse is getting a bit faulty right now. Let me just use all right, cool. So looking at this level right in here, so I did speak about it yesterday, where we had price open at this level, right? And I did say that we will most likely see a gap fill, right? Or filling the gap and then price trading to the downside. And as you can see, that is currently happening at the moment. So I am still expecting price to come down into this yellow zone that I have marked into there at the bottom, right? So overall, I am still bearish on the dollar. So I will, my thoughts would be to keep looking for selling opportunities back to the downside, targeting this level down in here. So I would expect dollar pairs to have been bearish for yesterday. Haven't really looked at currencies, to be honest, because it's not really my focal point. I just trade currencies whenever I'm bored, if I'm being brutally honest. So it's not really something that I do focus on very often. I do swing trade currencies though. So when I notice some good opportunities, some good swing opportunities, then I do take them, right? Just looking at this specific level where price is currently, would expect to see it maybe bounce off this level and pull up a little bit. So give us a bit of a retest into around these areas in here, because you can see this is a very strong key level right there. So maybe a young retest into around those levels, and then we'll see this market trade down a little bit more, back down, aiming into these lows in here. And that obviously the yellow zone that I have pointed out on the daily time frame. Right, very simple, very straightforward. Let's talk about the NASDAQ a little bit. Looking at the NASDAQ yesterday, we did speak about the candle open, right? The fact that the candle opened up here, right? And it did leave a gap, and I did say we will come back and fill this gap, right? Because like I keep saying, if futures is going up, equities is going down. If equities is going up, futures is going down, right? So in this instance, we saw the dollar future gap to the downside, and pull up to fill the gap. And then we saw the NASDAQ gap to the upside and pull down to fill the gap before trading up. So literally these are, I wouldn't say there's a correlation because it's not something that I've studied to that amount of detail, but it is something that I have noticed a bit of a correlation between the two markets, which is futures and equities, not specific to obviously the dollar index and the NASDAQ, right? Looking at this chart, right, like I said yesterday, that I am still expecting dollar bullishness, NASDAQ bullishness going up into around this area in there. So let's just drop down to the H4 chart and let's have a look at what we can see on the H4 chart. Okay, very messy here on the H4 chart. We can see we've got a double top that is formed right here. So we will expect to see price come down into around these levels, perhaps somewhere around there, retest some of these lows right here, before we see the market maybe want to pull back up again. Or alternatively, it could always continue back down and come and retest this blue zone again before we see it pull back to the upside. So overall, that is the probability, but I am overall bullish on NASDAQ, bearish on dollar pairs. Okay, cool. So that's it from my side. Not really much more that I can speak about on these markets. It's been a pleasure, as always, to share with you guys. Remember, I'll catch up with you guys again tomorrow at the same time. Until next time, wishing you blessed and a profitable trading day. Sorry, my tongue actually stopped cooperating for a second there. All right, so wishing you a blessed and a profitable trading day, and I'll catch up with you guys again tomorrow at the same time.